A computer-generated composition. A husky game walked, but the world faked. A tree slyly peeked, while the house stares. The black lambs broadly yielded, and the rich cars decidedly pulled. The blue voices decidedly hated, and the hot phones wistfully bass. Some eagles slyly poke, and the miserly queens loved. Some grisly schools bored, and the tender voices call. The rough hawks feared, while the unruly houses slyly jerked. The ship dares, while the passage pulled. A wee truck pours, while the bird wistfully volunteers. The eagle readily banks, while the rusty book bailed. The gray stones rolled. A voice readily peaked, but the miserly shifter silently heeded. The big movies pour. The tender parent sad, but the dogs fear. Some keys hated, and the voices slyly peaked. The faded hawk decidedly wanders, and the word patiently feared. The phone readily opens, but the job bored. The rusty dogs move, while the writers listed. The unruly parent slowly joined, but the blue movie slowly hates. The keyboard fakes, while the shifter readily joins. A shifter banks, while the husky sheet timidly stared. Some yellow sheets roll, and the big tunnels looked. The soldiers vaguely based, while the hawks work. An eagle fakes, while the movie faked. The big keyboards patiently bank, while the black hawks briskly added. The new train poked, while the dog briskly stared. A great rain based, and the lamb vaguely adds. The rose wistfully listed, and the power adds. The rusty trees list, while the queens vaguely fake. The green word slyly pokes, while the ship walks. Some passages hate, while the red worlds wait. An old house hailed, while the greasy queen briskly meandered. The heavy cars fake. The gray soldiers visit, and the queens metered. The parent port. The hawk cares, but the old boat visits. Some unruly parents decidedly wander, and the voices faded. The grisly movies patiently hated. The dog pulls, and the wispy truck quickly dares. The bare soldiers loved. A smoky parent decidedly stared, but the queen readily loved. The white word broadly rolled, and the big truck broadly moved. The wheatery decidedly faded, while the car dared. A power dares, but the old train randomly bases. The greasy words stare, and the words wander. Some bulls patiently peek, while the greasy phones slyly pour. A good book banks, but the old book joined. The dusty roads patiently peeked, and the keys fully called. The old lambs broadly added, but the rough parents based. Some stones opened. Some sheets fate, while the gross trucks readily bailed. Some greasy sheets pulled, but the husky houses patiently waited. A bare world decidedly joins. A cool coin faked, while the smoky boat narrowly meters. The rusty coin tied, while the faded eagle loved. The car fears, while the sheet cares. A wry world broadly stared, but the eagle faked. The trucks vaguely meter. The tanned rider narrowly reigned, but the voice hated. The gross doors grill, but the old voices meander. A thin coin reigns. A phone stared, while the old eagle joins. The book loves, while the cup narrowly jerked. A truck hated, but the school loves. The book acted, and the gross voice timidly needs. Some husky passages worked. The book pokes, but the grisly train patiently stares. The bulls wistfully wandered, while the cars add. A keyboard narrowly visited. The eagles decidedly dare, but the faded doors slyly heeded. The rough trucks board, while the tender hawks based. The eagles fear. The lambs timidly move, and the rare lambs reign. A bird called, but the key visits. The parent fears, but the old phone patiently peeked. The rough parents patiently walked, and the books silently base. The passages quickly rolled. A voice ties. Some gray cups hail. The greasy birds timidly volunteered, but the gray voices peak. A phone wistfully meters, but the lamb fully called. The tender game lists, and the truthful bull called. Some miserly keys decidedly loved. Some books readily wait. The soldier narrowly cared, and the gross phone moved. The wrinkly hawk hailed, while the wry rose silently bored. A bull decidedly meters. A stone waited, while the faded dog broadly poured. A world meters, while the rough sheet rolled. A usual door report, and the dog calls. Some keyboards silently work, while the poets meander. Some powers joined, but the dusty ships quickly care. The writer's bored. A key slyly moved, but the black house acted. The good grains added. Some rough dogs broadly heated, but the eagles poked. The gross stones readily hailed, and the phones wait. The sheets tied. The doors decidedly heat, but the rich keyboards hailed. Some black lambs dared, but the eagles silently faked.